Hey, welcome back to Gals Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Today I'm going to use this stamp set to decorate what must be the most basic of bags, but look at what you can make of it with stamping. Look how pretty. It really is a basic bag. I'm going to show you how to make it. I've got tips and tricks to show you how you can get this beautiful continuous pattern with the stamping. And first I'll show you what supplies I have used. Of course, Yuletide Village, the stamp set. I have the large check ribbon, which is very vanilla and black. I'm going to use 3 blends, Daffodil Delight, the dark version, and the light and dark of Lost Lagoon. I'm going to stamp in Memento Tuxedo Black. You need a piece of basic white cardstock, and I've made a template that makes it easy to position where the holes should be for the ribbon. I'll tell you more about that later. First I'll show you the trick I've used to find out where you need to do the stamping. I'll show you how my scribblings translate to, this is next week's project, sorry about that. This is the one. This is what I usually start out with, trying things out, taking down measurements, and this is what I'll be using while filming as well. And I've taken a piece of Designer Series paper. It doesn't really matter what kind of paper it is, as long as it's the same size as the paper you're going to use. This is 11.5 inches by 6 inches high. If you're lucky like me and you work in A4, you will get by with 11.5 and then you cut it to 6 inches. If you're in America and you don't have A4, then you will have to use a piece of 12 by 12 paper, which you cut down to 11.5 and then 6. The good news then is that of course you can get 2 from one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, but okay. Well, the score lines would be, I draw pencil lines that help me to space out where I want the stamps to be, and ideally I want this one and that one to end up in the same position where the bag folds together, you see, like this. Here I didn't quite manage because I thought I would do this without a pencil line, but I have tips for you for a pencil line. So first I'm going to show you where to do the scoring, and then I'll give you the pencil lines that help you figure out where everything should be. As I said, this is a piece of basic white cardstock, 11.5 inches by 6 inches. That is 29.2 centimeters by 15.2, and you're going to score this. I have scored this with a long side top at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 6 inches, 7.5 inches, a 1/4 turn, and then I scored at 1.5 inches. I'll give you the centimeters. That is 1.25, 15.2, 19 centimeters, and this sideways score line with a short side top is at 3.8 centimeters. I'm going to stamp on this. But first I'm going to give myself some guidance in the shape of a couple of pencil lines. Now this ruler happens to be 1 inch, so I'm going to draw a line across the top. I don't think you will be able to see on camera, but there is a pencil line for me. And then here I want a pencil line at 1/4 inch. That shows me where to stamp the tree, and here as well, a 1/4 inch. Just a faint pencil line to position the trees and the Christmas light in exactly the same position when the bag folds around. Alright, then I'm going to do the stamping. I've used nearly all of the stamps of the stamp set. I didn't use the wall and this little tree, but the others I have. I've already mounted them on my block, and I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'll use this silicone mat thingy that helps you to keep the stamp pad in place. And I'm going to start with the church, and then I will add the stamps. You will see me do that. I'll speed up for this, but where it's important that you pay attention to a certain position, I will tell you. So here, at the right hand side, you want the bottom of the tree to be on that 1/4 inch mark, and you want that pointy bit on the cut line. So I'll try to position my stamp like so. Now I will have stamped onto the glass mat, but no problem. With just a piece of cloth you can wipe it away. Then I'm moving towards the left, and the same procedure. I'm looking for another house. Ah, there it is. And I'm going to ink up my stamp, stamp the little house there, and then the last tree. The same procedure really. Now my silicone mat is off the glass mat, because this is a big piece of paper. Again, the bottom of the tree on the 1/4 inch line, and the pointy part on the score line. So here it was on the cut-off line, here you put it onto the score line. I'll look from above and try not to get my head into the camera. I'm going to clean off my stamps, and when you stamp with Memento, I prefer the scrub and the mist. You could use your chamois, but I find that the mist cleans the Memento more easily. So you see, I've wet the wet part, and you scrub it and you dry it there, and it really makes the stamps very clean. Oh, I haven't finished stamping, have I? No, because I need to put in the Christmas lights and the snow. Oh well, I've cleaned these stamps to start with. Less risk of me having them drop down. Okay, so I'll put my paper back in. I'm going to stamp the Christmas lights with the points on the pencil line, and then I'm going to add the snow, which is in the same stamp set. So let me open my ink pad again and get my silicone mat out. That should do it. So again, I'll speed up for this. I've explained to you what I'm going to do. You can see me do it now. I'm not happy with that white gap there, but also I don't want to stamp across the Christmas lights, so I'm going to ink up part of my stamp now. I should be able to do that here. Looking from the top, and then perfect. Now it's okay. I can put a couple more here. Okay, and you see I moved my paper down, and then in between I cleaned off the glass mat because I didn't want to smear the back with ink. That's the reason why. Okay, that's the stamping done. Let me just close my pad and put this over here. I'm going to colour, and I'm using the light Lost Lagoon for the buildings and the dark for the trees, and then the dark Daffodil Delight for the windows. I'm not going to do any blending. This is just the simplest kind of colouring, and with the dark and the light, the contrast, you will see some kind of difference in colour anyway. So I'll start with the light and colour the part of the building that I want to be coloured. Alright, nearly there. Just the last window to finish and the last Christmas tree. And I'm not sure if the camera picks this up, but because I used the light Lost Lagoon on the buildings and darker on the trees, you do get some kind of colour contrast, as I said earlier. So I'm going to colour the last tree now. And you know why I used Memento, because the blends are alcohol based, and if you use a water based ink you might smear everything. Okay, I haven't forgotten anything, I'm just checking. No? Okay, right. Now, when everything has dried, of course I mustn't forget to erase the pencil lines. And then I'm going to fold all these score lines that I made earlier and cut. I'm using my bone folder to make the score lines really flat, nice and crisp. Oh, you can hear the glass mat make a lot of noise. It is noisier while filming, and I love my glass mat. There's just one thing I wanted to ask you. Normally when I film I use a ring light around my camera. I haven't switched it on now because you actually see it in the glass. I'll switch it on and I'll ask you for your opinion. You see, the lighting is better I think, but my question is, does this ring light bother you? Is it, well, does it upset you at all? I wouldn't know for myself, so I decided to film without. But can you please let me know in the comments what you think? Normally the project will be here, so it doesn't interfere with what I'm doing, I suppose, but some people might find it distracting, this ring light there, but I do think that the lighting is better this way. Okay, I'm going to cut and wedge the bottom flaps. And before I adhere the bag together, of course I have to position some holes for the ribbon to go through. But first let me do the cutting. This needs just a slightly deeper cut, there you go. And this one needs to be wedged as well. This is the front of the bag, this is going to be the back. And these two little flaps, the smaller ones, I'll put these ones back. You're going to wedge. They're going to fold inside the bag. So the second one. Okay. Now then, the template that I've made. This is just a scrap of cardstock, 4 inches by 2 inches, which is, let me check my notes for you, 10.2 by 5 centimeters, and I've put the holes 1/2 inch from the top, 1.2 centimeters, and 1¼ inches in from the left and the right, which is 3.2 centimeters. And I drew lines on this across, see, and I punched holes. And then I'm going to put this on top of the paper and do the same thing. I'm going to draw these holes here too, so on the wider part, the 4-inch part. And now it's easy for me to position my crocodile. Where is it? Over there. I'm going to punch these holes so I can look now. And make the holes, and then if everything is okay, when I put the bag together the holes should be in the same position if measured correctly. Final one, and there we go. See, now all I have to do is put some tear and tape on, and I'll reach up and switch off that ring light. See what you think about the lighting without the ring light. I'm sure it's still visible enough, but yeah, I'd also think that having extra lighting is not wrong, probably, but there you go. Just let me know in the comments, please. Okay, so on the glue flap on the outside of the bag, then this part, which is in between the two flaps, that's going to be the front part. So there, I put the Tear and Tape down in a U shape. And 2 small strips here along the side. And I will have to go and think for a minute, because I've decided to put the glue flaps in a different position than I did with my prototype. Let me just get this. Side flaps, yeah. So on the outside, on this flap, the one which is at the edge, you put 2 strips of glue, whichever glue you would like to use, although I do prefer Tear and Tape for boxes and bags because it's a strong adhesive and easy to work with. With my bone fold, I'm going to make sure it adheres well, this flap too. I suppose on the white paper you can't see very well. Okay, I'm ready to put my bag together, so I'll fold that part over, remove the backing paper there, then I can fold this end over, make sure it's on straight. Then I can put the bottom piece in. That's the one with the 2 strips of paper. Push it in and then put the 2 side flaps over. And then remove the backing paper of this last flap, the front flap. And there we go. And then make sure the edges are straight. And then with your bone folder, you can push down. And you see, by sticking it together like this, you don't see these 2 side flaps on the inside of the bag, which I think gives it a neat look. Right, then I'm ready to push the bag in. So from the top, I look and I put my fingers somewhere in the middle, and then I gently push inwards, and then I point the 2 corners together, and then with my finger I can very lightly push this in and rub a bit. Here too, put the 2 corners together with your finger, push it in. So there's no need to put score lines there. You can if you want to, but I don't find it is necessary. Now to put the ribbon in, I am going to clamp this together. It's easier, and I'll use the clamp that I use for my ribbon as well. And then I can put the ribbon in, and I'll tell you in a minute how much ribbon to use. I'm not sure yet because I forgot to measure with my prototype. So how much do I need? I need to be able to tie a bow comfortably. This should be it. So let me just snip this off, and then I'll measure for you how long this is. This is 12 inches, and centimeters it is 31 centimeters. So putting the ribbon back in, pulling it through, and you see when you clamp the box to get the bag together, it's easier to do this. Now then, I put the left over the right, push it through, then I make a loop with the right one, pull the left over the right, and push that little end through. Oh, this is fiddly. There we go. You can adjust some. If you pull both ends, the ribbon will end up more or less in the right position. She said, hopefully. Okay, pull it a bit more. I want these 2 ends to go towards the bottom. Why doesn't it want to behave? Because I'm filming, of course. Oh well, this looks... No, I'm not happy with that. This is straight. snip and make this end just a bit shorter as well. There we go. With my lighter I'm going to make sure the ends don't fray. Very briefly touch the fabric with the lighter, with the flame. You can't tell I don't smoke because I have difficulty operating a cigarette lighter. Okay, remove the clamps and you have a sweet little bag. Well, thank you very much for watching. Do tell me what you think about the ring light, and if you have any questions or comments, I love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye, see you next time, bye. Okay, an add-on. Will it make sense if you put the bow on the front of the bag? I'm going to do that. You've seen me struggle with the bow before, but I put it in from the wrong end. So starting from the front, put it in from the front to the back to the front again. And that's where you tie the bow. So that's it.